Well, friends, as 2024 draws to a close, we are yet again seeing all of the year-end content predicting what the big design trends will be in 2025. Elle Decor recently posted an article about 6 trending colors that they think are going to be big in the coming year. Now, if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you're probably thinking, but Tara, I thought you didn't like being dictated to by trends. And you would be correct. But that doesn't mean I have to completely ignore them. I can still learn about them and then decide to disregard them if they don't appeal to me or align with my personal style. And I do have to say that I do actually like most of the colors on this list, and maybe you will too. And when it comes to trends, I do tend to think that color is one of the easiest and most flexible ways to incorporate a new design trend. Color can be used in so many ways, from little accessories to a relatively inexpensive can of paint. You can go big, but you can also keep it really small. So, I am here to discuss these trending colors and share some ideas and inspiration on how to work with them. But only if you want to. The overarching theme of these colors that Elle Decor has selected seems to be more muted and muddied tones. These are colors with a warmth and a depth to them that is inviting and will have longevity. Architect Hans Peer is quoted in the article as saying, "I foresee a shift toward introspective colors, tones that feel familiar yet nuanced with a subtle complexity that invites reflection. Rather than fleeting trends, these colors carry a depth that feels enduring, rooted in a timeless narrative that's meaningful and lasting." This is a sentiment I think a lot of us can get behind, so let's take a closer look, shall we? Unlike pink trends of the recent past, like millennial pink or the pink of Barbiecore, this muddy pink trend is a softer, more understated feel. If you are someone that is a fan of pink, I do think that this is going to be an easier one to work with, and also one you're probably less likely to tire of. So here we have an example of a muddier pink done on kitchen cabinetry, which, yes, is a bit of a daring move and certainly not for everyone. But if you are a fan of this look, I do really like this shade of pink. It doesn't feel too juvenile. This soft pink bathroom is really pretty. I like the subtle gold accents with this shade of pink, and I also like the deeper tones of the hand towel and the ceiling light to add a bit of contrast. Another pink bathroom. I'm really into the color blocking they've done here, the way that the pink walls don't go all the way to the ceiling. It's a really clean and simple space, but it's the little details that make it cool. Dusty red. So this red is very deep and rich and dramatic. Certainly not for the faint of heart. But if you like a darker space that's warm and enveloping, it might be one to consider. Here is an example of how you could use a dusty red throughout a living room to create that color drenching effect. And here's another example of a space that's been color drenched in deep shades of red. The mix of textures and the subtle variations in hue, I think, are especially striking. And while we've gotten away from the color drenching in this kitchen, the use of red is still really impactful. I love the postmodern vibes of this one. So here we have a more traditional bedroom, and I really like this one too. There's an unusual mix of patterns and colors and styles in this space that I find really unique and unexpected. I think it's fair to say that purple can be a pretty polarizing color. You either love it or you really, really don't. And I think that's especially true of deeper shades of purple like this eggplant. It can also be a really tricky color to get right. So if you are a purple person, you could use this eggplant in a similar way to the dusty red. This is a very dramatic bedroom, but toning it down with the lighter neutrals helps to keep it from being too over the top. And you may already know what I'm about to say about this one. Powder rooms are great places for experimenting with bold color. I especially like how they have matched the wall color to the tile in this one. Here we have an example of using a smaller dose of eggplant. I think the use of the pink and purple hues here is a nice way of adding some color to a space with a lot of gray that you're maybe looking to update a little bit. We've been seeing a resurgence in the color brown in recent years, and that trend seems to be continuing with this newest version, Truffle Brown. It's a bit warmer of a brown with a slightly more yellow undertone than the chocolate browns we see so often. Here's an example of a truffly brown used in quite a traditional space. It's been combined with other variations of brown in the different wood elements, along with some black and white. A very classic look. If the brown walls are feeling a bit dark for you, here we have an example of taking it off the walls. The overall color palette is very similar to the previous image, but the space feels much more modern with the furniture, art, and accessories selected. And here is another example of Truffle Brown that I really like. Instead of having a colorful gallery wall, the bolder color is used on the wall and contrasted by very neutral artwork. Dusty blue. Now blue for me is such a great color because it just has so much flexibility. There are so many variations of blue that can be used in so many different ways. Elle Decor is calling this dusty blue, and to be honest, when I envision dusty blue, I imagine it being a color that would be a little more muted and grayed out than this. So in my inspiration images, I've maybe gone a little more in that direction. This pick is a great reminder that your ceiling is your fifth wall and a great place to add some color. That is, of course, if you're lucky enough to have flat ceilings and not stupid popcorn ceilings like I have. Again, we have another example of color blocking, and I also really like how this shade of blue looks against the color of that tile floor. A pretty blue bathroom is never a bad idea. I also love the combination of this shade of blue with the warm wood of the vanity. Chartreuse, perhaps the most controversial color of the bunch. But I have to say, I'm into it. It's a color that's got some bite to it. It's unexpected, it's edgy. And I do quite like how they have used it in this space. It's a very bold color that might be overpowering if overused. So to pair some small hits of chartreuse with these muddier hues helps to tone it down. It's an unexpected combination that I find quite surprising, but also quite successful. And here's another example of how just a small hit of chartreuse, like a lampshade, can be such a fun little addition to a space. Of course, if you're feeling daring, you could paint your walls chartreuse. Imagine how different this space would feel with a neutral wall color. The chartreuse really changes everything. Here we have a chartreuse bed that has been combined with varying shades of blue. I think they work really well together and add a lot of impact to a space that's otherwise quite minimal. And how about a chartreuse sofa? Maybe not everyone's first choice, but I really like the unusual color pairing with the large art piece and the style contrast with that very ornate picture frame. Okay friends, I've got a little bonus for you. I have pulled together several images of spaces that use different combinations of these trending colors. So you don't have to use just one. You can bring these together to create some really interesting color palettes. So let's take a look. Here we have a space with muddy pink walls that have been combined with dusty red trim and artwork. I really love the contrast of these chartreuse stools with deep red legs against these muted pink walls. This is a very deep and dramatic space with various shades of red, including deep rusty reds that I think look really cool with the brighter reds. And the reds have all been tempered by the truffle brown of the drapes and the art. These walls are such an unexpected shade of muddied chartreuse, and I love how they've been combined with the subtle touches of pink, red, and blue. Have I used this pick before? Something about it feels very familiar to me, and I can't quite place it. So I apologize, but I just can't keep track of all these images anymore. This living room has such a great, fun color palette. I love the chartreuse with the soft pink, deep red, and light blue. I think we often associate a red bedroom with a more classic look, but this muddy pink bed helps to bring a more modern touch to the space. The pink in this bedroom just looks cooler with the addition of the chartreuse and the dusty red. Another dusty blue space with some small accents of deep red and light pink. There's such an unexpected color palette happening here. The muted chartreuse, the eggplant cabinets, and a warm pink on the ceiling. Just really interesting. I love the little surprise of the chartreuse in the closet. Just adds a little edge to the pink and blue color scheme. Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Now, as always, I have put all of these inspiration images on a Pinterest board. It will be linked in the description. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope we see you next time, and bye for now.